On this episode of I Saw It So You Didn't Have to, Snow White. Okay, it wasn't that bad, but let's talk about it. Directed by Mark Webb, stars Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, Andrew Burnap, and a whole bunch of other people. It's worth noting the songs in this movie were written by Pasek and Paul. These are the songwriters behind The Greatest Showman, La La Land, and the live-action Aladdin. Where to begin? How do I break this down? We'll start with the positives. The biggest positive, argue with your mama, is Rachel Zegler. I expected her to do well. I said this a year and some change ago. She's a bona fide triple threat. She can sing, she can dance, she can act. She's incredibly talented. And she did very well. Do I think she captured the essence of Snow White? No. I think her version of Snow White is very different than the Snow White we grew up with. But, it was fine. The musical numbers are very good, not all that memorable, to be honest with you. I think the most memorable song in this entire film, and kudos to Pasek and Paul, is Gal Gadot's villain song. And I say kudos because I feel like we haven't gotten a decent Disney villain song in quite some time. Very similar to The Little Mermaid, the songs that you're going to be singing on repeat are the songs that you already know. The production design, I would say, is a very big positive, along with the costume design. I really love the costumes at the very beginning. Just a lot of color. It was gorgeous. Now, in terms of the production design and the lighting, cinematography, Disney is still in its dark, moody, and dull era in terms of color. I'm wondering when are we going to get out of that, because it just seems to be a pattern. We saw it with The Little Mermaid, where it was just so dull. The Marvels. What else was positive? No, that was about it. Gal Gadot is Gal Gadot. She did better than I thought she would. But if you had high expectations for her, lower them. Why are they up there? She's just not a very good actress, but she had a lot of fun with the role. You could tell she was trying to go for campy. And I think if she kind of had that in her, it could have worked. But she's stunning. God, the woman is gorgeous. I counted 3 little people in this movie. None of them were the 7 dwarfs. So the 7 dwarfs were motion capture, which means they used real people, real bodies, average sized bodies, to capture the motion and the facial expressions of the dwarfs. It was uncanny valley. I didn't like it. The movie is frustratingly mid. It bothered me how mid this was. Fair, if you will. It starts off strong. We start off very strong with the opening musical number, chorus, choreography, whatever in the background. It starts off very, very strong. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Okay, this might actually be better than I thought. Nope, that doesn't last very long. It falls off very quickly. Once we get into the part of the story that's the most familiar, she's with the huntsman and she's gathering apples instead of wildflowers. She's in the dress, and then we meet the dwarfs. It gets rushed. It's so off balanced, because the point of these live action remakes is to not just bring that magic to life, but it's also to expand upon the story, something that the animated feature couldn't do. And it does that a little bit by giving us a little more of Cinderella's backstory. But then it rushes through certain things, like where'd the dress come from? By the way, y'all remember this photo? So this leaked summer 2023. At first, Disney said, no, this is not a behind-the-scenes set photo from Snow White. Then they came back and said, well, yeah, actually it is. Why they didn't tell us what this was from the jump is beyond me. Because they really had us out here thinking that they just scrapped the dwarves and gave us magical creatures. No, they're in the movie. They're just not the dwarves. They're bandits. Absolutely useless bandits. There's no point to them in the film whatsoever. They don't move the plot along. We don't get to know them. They have no personality. They just exist. This one right here, we get a little bit from, but that's about it. Other than that, they serve no purpose in the movie, not even to whom they're attached. And they're attached to our prince, who's not really a prince, Jonathan, who's just a thief, a bandit who lives in the woods with these jokers. He could have just been, doing bandit stuff by himself. They were a waste of time. It's Snow White fights fascism in pursuit of communism. Best way I can describe this movie. This doesn't improve upon the original. I wouldn't even say it captures the essence or the magic of the original. Why is this here? Why is this here? What was even the point of the male lead? Like, he just felt very pointless. Yeah, True Love's First Kiss. But yeah, he felt very purposeless. He was just present. I mean, overall, it's just mid. It's entertaining enough, but it's a clunky mess. Felt like 3 or 4 movies merged into one. The ending was just very disappointing. Because, in the original cartoon, the evil queen slash, old witch dies when she, accidentally falls over a cliff. But spoiler alert, she just kind of disintegrates. There's no big battle, there's no big fight. She just stands up and talks about, I remember and you remember and da 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 da, and gives this like impassioned little sweet speech, and then somehow that upsets the queen and she runs and she smashes the mirror and then she just fades, and it's just weird. Like, sorry, spoiler alert or whatever, but like, it was just a very boring ending. Like, all that build up to something so flat. What was the plot exactly? Somebody's going to come and say it. They always do. It's a kid's movie. Like, why are you taking it so seriously? Nope. This is a Disney movie. Disney makes 4-quadrant family films. This is a movie for everyone. Now, granted, women are probably going to get more out of this than men. And your child is going to be entertained. I think depending on their age, I think at a point they're going to get a little bored. Moana 2. How did your child fare during Moana 2? Compare the experience to that. Let us make sure we're all on the same page here. Millennials are the target audience. This is a remake or a reimagining of a classic. Most of us were in elementary school when this movie re-released in theaters and released on VHS. We grew up with this. This is nostalgia. They're trying to capture the nostalgic audience, which are 90s kids. The problem is Disney can't be trusted to make quality films anymore, and Rachel Zegler is insufferable. Talented young lady, but goodness, does she need PR training. Yeah, the movie's a clunky mess, absolutely, but she gives a performance that I think is worth seeing. The tragedy is, this movie's gonna flop, and it's gonna flop bad.